Hi, everyone. I'm doing an impromptu little video right now of what I take from a natural medicine and supplement perspective in a day. And the reason that I'm doing this is because right now my dog just went into surgery and I need something to distract myself for this hour. That's not how long this is going to be, but I did think this is going to be really good. It's on theme for the week. We're talking about natural medicines, we're talking about supplements. So it's going to be disorganized. I got everything. I wish I could show you in the screen. I got all my friends here. So we're going to start slowly because in the live on Friday, we didn't get to talk about baseline supplements as much as we talked about plant medicines. And that was mainly due to the fact that I know that you guys can go online and on Google and type in, like, what should I be taking for my mental health? And obviously, you're going to see vitamin D pop up online, right? We want to make sure that we are having the proper dose of vitamin D in our bodies so that we are not creating a vulnerability to having a deficiency, which can cause and mimic mental health symptoms. So I think a lot of us in our heads, the way that the research or the way that we read it online is being presented to us is vitamin D is going to get rid of depression, or vitamin D is going to get rid of your anxiety, or it's going to help with the symptoms. But what it's actually saying is that if you are deficient in vitamin D, then you will have a higher propensity to having symptoms like that. So this is just us getting it out of the way. For all intents and purposes, I'm talking about me and what I take. And I live in Canada. And if I could turn to show you the amount of snow that's here right now, even though it looks really sunny, you would understand what I mean when I say I take probably 4 to 5 amounts more than the daily recommendations. So the daily recommendations will be around 1,000 IUs. That's usually going to be 1 drop of the vitamin D if you take it in drop form, or it might be 1 capsule if that's how you're taking it. I do tend to take more. And I do that because I like to make sure I'm not deficient, especially because of where I live. So from the months of like October, November, all the way till April, when I'm starting to be outside with more sun and more skin exposure out there, that's what I take, about 4 to 5 drops a day. That is not a medical recommendation for you. And you should always have your blood work done to make sure that you are not deficient in vitamin D or in excess, right? Because it is a fat soluble vitamin. And that means that your body holds on to it instead of it being processed throughout the body all the time. I hope that I am not overcomplicating this right now, because this is like my science brain and all this shit around me right now is intellectually stimulating. So vitamin D at the complete baseline of your plan there, okay? Something else that I take is a fish oil. I like to take it in a liquid form because, my goodness, those pills are so big and like the burp back from them can be super nauseating. So I take in a liquid form with a flavor that I like. Usually I like to go for like a grapefruit, but this one's an orange. It is subpar, but it's what I have right now. And when it comes to mental health, you're going to find lots of research papers on fish oil for both anxiety and depression. It does help with inflammation in the brain, which is why it helps with depression. And we want to be making sure that we are getting around the 2,000 milligram dose of the fish oil and an EPA DHA ratio of 2 to 1. If you don't know what that means, that is perfectly fine. In short, EPA is for inflammation, DHA is for the brain, and we want to see a fish oil supplement with around that type of ratio. Okay, so we got vitamin D, we got fish oil. My B complex right now is in my cupboard, and I'm not going to get up and leave you during this. So that is another supplement that I like to take for my mental health, because it's giving us a baseline across the board optimization of all the biochemical pathways in the body. Okay. You hear a lot of people out there being like, oh, take B12 for energy, or like take B6 for your mental health. It's like, if you're going to take a B vitamin, just take all of them, because you're going to get the benefit of all of them in the most optimal way. What I want to tell you is it's probably best for you to get a methylated B complex, and you might not have any idea what that means, but that is what I'm here for, to at least give you these buzzwords so that you can come to me and ask me the questions or make your own responsible decisions on what you're going to take. And the reason why I tell you methylation is important is because for those of us who have this is getting very sciencey very fast. For those of us who don't process our vitamins and nutrients in the same way, maybe we have like was going to do a hand game for you. This turns to this, but this can't turn to this unless that's in the middle. I don't even know if that made sense, but some of us can't process our B vitamins. So we can't get from A to B without the middle guy. So what the methylated Bs do is it gives us the opportunity to just zip from A to B and not worry about the enzyme in the middle. Again, I hope that that made sense. And the other thing that I like to call a baseline supplement for mental health is magnesium bisglycinate. You'll be able to find this specific one on the Canadian full script, and on the American full script, I picked a bunch of other ones that have the right dose and also trusted brands that I like. Okay. I take 2 capsules in the evening, and I know we're talking about me. This doesn't mean you have to copy what I do, but I take 2 200 milligram capsules, which ends up amounting to 400 milligrams per day of magnesium bisglycinate. If you're someone who takes magnesium, look at your supplement and see what it says. If you're taking magnesium citrate, you are taking the magnesium that is meant to help you with your bowel movements. That doesn't mean it can't help with anxiety, but it means you're going to be losing most of it. And magnesium bisglycinate is the best researched and the best bioavailable source of magnesium we can have. So it's like, I would say top tier. There's a lot of other people online that'll say, oh, take like magnesium taurate for your brain or magnesium malate for this. It's like, it's okay to take magnesium bisglycinate for everything, because across the board, it's probably going to be the most effective for you. Okay. Also helps with sleep. So like, why not? Those were the baselines. Now we are going to get into more of the fun stuff. And I'm wondering where I'm going to go first, because let me tell you, there are a lot back here. Oh, here's another baseline. This one's a personal choice. I'm not huge on probiotics, but there is a lot of research, obviously, that shows that when we have a imbalanced microbiome, that we are going to have less optimal mental health. Do I think that probiotics can treat anxiety and depression? No. I'm going to be very blunt when I say that. I don't think that the entire answer sits within the gut of a human being. I think there are way too many factors that are involved when it comes to looking at the human being and anxiety and depression. However, if you are someone who wants to, again, work on the optimization of everything in all the different places, a probiotic is a nice addition, especially if you have any other gut stuff that's going on with the anxiety. Okay. You don't have to be specific when it comes to picking a probiotic. I'll just leave it at that. If you want to take a probiotic, you can. If you have IBS, this is a huge aside, just so that I don't, push anyone to being like, get a probiotic, and then you have a huge tummy ache. Make sure your probiotic doesn't have fructooligosaccharides in it if you have IBS and it's been diagnosed, because then you will get a lot of gas and pain and you will be very upset that you were on the probiotic. Okay. But again, that one's like more, it's a nice to have. Okay. The other ones are better to have. The probiotic is a nice to have. Where am I going to go next? Most of you know that I always take ashwagandha, but I just finished my ashwagandha, so it is not on this table right now. However, Ganda 600 is the one that I take. It's at the dose that I like. It has the level of withanolides that I like, and I just talked about that in the research. So if you haven't watched the live replay, sorry, there's someone outside. If you haven't watched the live replay on natural medicines, go give it a watch, because I did talk about that. And that's usually, I count at least as my baseline supplements, plus starting to treat the anxiety and the depression within myself. Something else that I have finished recently was also saffron, which again has a lot of research for mood and depression. So if that is something you're into, I took it myself. So clearly I enjoy that supplement. Okay. Something else that I want to talk about at baseline is also iron, because I have it on the table here. And iron is something that I was taking because my levels weren't optimal. And I wanted to make sure that the energy deficits that I was having wasn't because of a micronutrient deficiency. So this is something that I started taking for me, and did notice a change in my energy throughout the day. I was getting really fatigued between 1 and 3 p.m. in the afternoon, to the point where I needed to like tap out from doing work. I wouldn't book anyone at that time. And this has helped dramatically. See, look, it's like it's 3:45 right now. So clearly it's been doing something. A lot of people do have digestive issues with iron. So I would say try and be kind to yourself when you start iron. If you get nauseous or if you get constipated or whatever's going on in your body, just try a different one. They have so many different isomers, so different types of iron, and you can see them all over Fullscript. If you go into your account right now, you'll see like iron succinate, iron fumarate, iron bisglycinate. It doesn't matter. Try one, see if it works for your body. And some people's bodies don't absorb iron. So you could be taking an iron supplement and it's not working because it's not the right isomer for you. Hopefully that also makes sense, even though it's terribly confusing. But that is something I've done. And on the train of energy, this is also something I was taking, which is like, this is not just for mental health. This was energy specific. I wanted to treat my mitochondria. And inside this supplement is N-acetyl L-carnitine, ALA, N-acetyl L-cysteine, and coenzyme Q10. So I would say if you are experiencing energy deficits and you've tried everything but never treated your mitochondria, this is something to consider. This is going to differ massively between the Canadian and the US sites, but it is something that you might want to look into if you've tried everything and you've never gone that route before. It might be helpful for baseline health if your body is having difficulty creating and building actual energy molecules in the body. Okay. Jenna, when are we going to get into the mental health specific stuff? Okay. I have my hands on so many different things right now. Let's start. Well, we kind of did. I'm talking to myself in my head. We did talk about the ashwagandha. We did talk about the saffron. Okay, these are like the additions. What's coming up next are like the right nows, the things that I've been trying and experimenting with on myself recently so that I could see, oh, maybe I do well with a blend, or maybe I do well with different plants that aren't maybe as central in the research, but they're still showing a benefit in my body and my mind. So Adrenergine, I love this company. I'm also pulling my hair too at the same time as telling you how much I love VitaAid. They have very good blends because the dosing is proper in the blends. And if you, again, watch the live replay that I did on natural medicines, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say dosing matters. We can't just be taking a low dose of something and saying, okay, well, I tried that plant medicine. When you weren't actually reaching the therapeutic dose that it even shows in the research is supposed to be helpful for anxiety or depression. So inside the Adrenergine, I hope you guys are getting that ASMR capsule shake. We have rhodiola, cordyceps, eleuthero, ashwagandha, and B5. So again, this is going to be one of those things that I don't really recommend for people, but I did it for myself to see if I would enjoy being on a blend. Rhodiola is something I've been on in isolation before, and I've selected it because I do like being on it from an anxiety and depression perspective. But the dosing inside this capsule is going to be much lower than the dosing I'd get from a singular capsule. So I was trying to go for that more gentle effect of the rhodiola. Cordyceps is a mushroom, which does help with cortisol management. And that's why I was more interested in this particular blend. Eleuthero is very good for energy, and ashwagandha, of course, which I've already talked about. And this was helping me top up the dose that I was already taking from the other supplement that I mentioned before. And then B5 is just a nice to have in here. But this supplement I have enjoyed taking. I'm very particular about when I take it and when I take rhodiola because it does build a little bit of energy in the body. So I won't take it after about 2 p.m. so that it doesn't do anything to my sleep. Okay. Again, I'm just talking about me. You don't have to mentalize and digest all of this right now, but I figured it would be fun for you to find out what I take. Okay. On top of that, okay, this supplement over here, it's called ADR PX Balance Restorative Formulations. I think I have this on both the Canadian and the US Fullscripts if you want to check it out. The reason why I like this one, it's actually something I alternated with the Adrenergine, is because it has very random plant medicines in it that I was like, it sounds like an interesting blend. And there's some good research behind some of them, but I wanted to be more explorative for myself instead of always trying the same stuff. A lot of the times you'll go to a health food store or you'll go online and you'll see that it's the same natural medicines and the same supplements being put into all these different things. And you're like, how do I know which one's better than the other? And I think that this one was fun for me because I was like, wow, I've actually never tried that before. So it does have some of the basics like Eleuthero, which I just mentioned was in the Adrenergine, and rhodiola. But it also has something called holy basil in it. And holy basil, I also have here in a liquid form. This is called a tincture, and these are the capsules. But that's very good for cortisol management and cortisol control. And I think that when it does come to anxiety and depression, that is playing a very large role in symptom management, right? The release of cortisol or the excess or the imbalance of cortisol in the system is what's really causing our experience of being uncomfortable. And sometimes I look at this stuff as like, okay, how do we make you feel a little bit more superhuman? Or how do we sit with ourselves better by de-intensifying the symptom presentation? Instead of thinking of this as like treatment, right? I don't want you to take a few capsules, or in my case, I wouldn't be taking a few capsules a day and then saying, okay, did my symptoms go away? It's like, okay, in the context of everything I'm doing, how is this helping me manage my symptoms differently, right? So I just have a different perspective on how I look at it for myself and how I look at it for my patients. But yeah, I found that this one was very interesting. And it also has something in it called Hawthorne, which does lower blood pressure. And for many of you listening, you may even right now being like, oh my God, I went to the doctor. They told me I had high blood pressure, and then they put me on anti-anxiety or an SSRI so that my blood pressure would go down. This is a very fascinating supplement that they've put on the market, very well knowing that people who have anxiety will tend to have higher blood pressure. So it does have a blood pressure managing component to it. Okay. Again, not treatment for you. I'm talking about me. Okay. Who am I going to pull from next? This, I'll leave that to the end because I haven't started it yet. So that'll be fun. The next one that I'm taking, and I take this every day, is my curcumin. Okay, curcumin is an entire body anti-inflammatory, and I take it because there is inflammation in the brain when we're talking about mental health conditions, and there is inflammation being held in the body, whether you want to believe it or not. Okay. There is something very tangible that happens in your body when you start treating your mental health where you're like, huh, like I feel different. My muscles feel different. The tone of me feels different. And inflammation is always playing a role throughout the body in every biochemical pathway. So to me, I would even consider the curcumin a baseline supplement for mental health, just based on the fact that anxiety, depression, and inflammation are all going to be interrelated. Do I think that curcumin alone is going to be treating anxiety or depression? No. I don't think anything in isolation is going to be like, that's the answer. I think that we have to have a nice balance between everything. But curcumin is something that always weaves its way back into my personal supplement plan because of the body component that I physically experience. So like the tone of my muscles, the pain that I'll get in different areas. So it's always something that I bring back in ever so often to make sure that my body is in the most anti-inflamed state that it can be. Okay. Next, I have some sleep stuff here, which is fun too. Oh, the rest of it's sleep. Sleep. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then I'll tell you the one that I haven't taken yet. So these are things that I keep inside my bedside table. Because I want to be reminded to take them every night if I can, but these are also emergency remedies for me when I'm like, ooh, I'm not tired and I want to sleep, or I've woken up in the middle of the night and I'm like, I need to get back to sleep. So first we're going to start with melatonin, and we're going to talk melatonin spray because with all of my patients and myself, and all the friends and the people and everyone in my life, we do spray. And the reason that we do spray is because it allows us to get such a low dose of melatonin that is very similar to the physiological dose that is being produced in your brain. Okay. If you go to the store, you're going to find a lot of melatonin supplements that are like 3 milligrams, 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams. And maybe you've taken melatonin before and you're like, oh my God, I feel like I've passed away in the middle of the night, or you're like so sleepy when you wake up or you feel out of it. And that's because the dose is way too high for your brain. Okay. And I know people in the camp of like taking really high doses of melatonin for an antioxidant effects. However, when it comes to me and how I use it in my practice and for myself, I use it as a sleep training supplement, not a sleep supplement. I could go on and on about melatonin and how I feel about it, and I should probably have like a full live on melatonin only, but that's why I'm a big proponent of melatonin 1 milligram sprays. Or if you want 1 milligram capsules, that's perfectly fine. This just, I feel like it kicks in faster. But it's going to help you train your brain to get tired at the same time every day, not to make you fall asleep. It is not a drowsy supplement, but it is something I use both for myself and in my practice because it is very important for us to have proper circadian rhythms because melatonin and cortisol are the complete opposite sides of the coin and they have to dance well together. Okay. That's something I talk a lot about in Peace of Mind Method is how we're going to work with melatonin and our circadian rhythms with cortisol. Okay, let's do these 2 rescue remedies next. Okay. You can see how homemade these are. I'm not the chemist. My friend's the chemist, and she will she will make these for me. And I'm very thankful for her to do that because then we can customize what's going inside my blends. But inside this one here is passion flower, valerian, chamomile, and avena sativa, which is oat. And you did hear me talk about in the live yesterday that I have a paradoxical reaction to valerian, but I only find that it happens when I'm taking it in capsule form. If you don't know what a paradoxical reaction is, that's when your body interacts with the supplement, plant medicine, or natural medicine in the opposite way that it's expected. So the research shows that valerian is going to be a sedative style plant. But for me, if I take it at a normal therapeutic dose, it makes me hot, sweaty, not want to sleep, and like super wrangly. Like I don't like it at all. And that's why I have it right now in the liquid form, because it allows me to take the dose way lower or at a suboptimal level. And it's at a lower dose than the other plant medicines that are in this so that I'm getting the benefits of all of them working together. So this one is simply just filled with a bunch of drowsy plant medicines so that if I need to get tired or if I need to have a good sleep, it's very helpful for that. I want to be very clear that the chamomile that's in here is not the same as chamomile tea, okay? Well, some of you might have a chamomile tea and feel like it relaxes you and like makes you sleepy, and that might be very true and you are lucky. This is the actual plant and the bioactive extracted material that's going to cause the drowsiness. So when it comes to treating anxiety, and yes, this can be taken throughout the day, something like this, even if it was a capsule blend, these can be taken throughout the day to manage symptoms of anxiety. And it's what I like to use for myself when I need it. Okay. I feel like I don't need to talk much about the sleep matrix with the melatonin because we covered that. And this supplement has all of the other ingredients that I just mentioned in the liquid form. This one does include L-theanine and lemon balm, and it does have some GABA in it. If you want to hear about GABA, I talked about that in the live too. So that is also another supplement that I could do an entire live on, but go watch the live replay if you want to hear more about that. But I would say I did talk about L-theanine too in the live replay. But this just has a nice blend of everything. So it's like, if you need help going to sleep, if you want a gentle sleep supplement, this is what I usually prescribe to my patients. I don't take this personally myself because I like to have a little bit more control of what goes into me, but I do give this to other people. And I'm not a huge fan of the melatonin, I think, dose in this one. No, this one's low, 2 milligrams. That's why I have it in my house, because it's okay if I ever want to hop on this one. And then lastly, actually not lastly, I have another one over here, the one that I haven't taken yet, is Cava. Cava was also something brought up in the live replay last week. And Cava is something I like to use for my patients and myself when we want to cause drowsiness at a specific time, because it does have a very sedative property. The way that I would describe it to anyone who wanted to know what it's like is it kind of feels like you've had a glass of wine. If you like that feeling, Cava might be for you. Or if you're someone who knows that, you sleep well after you have a glass of wine and you can relax, maybe that's a nice alternative plant medicine that can be considered. So it is something that I will take if I want to have a good sleep. And I will actually more often take Cava than taking any of the other drowsy supplements, because I just find that it's more effective and I need a lower dose and it's just more controllable from my perspective. The last one that I have here is called Energy Extra. It's by Pure Encapsulations, which will be on both the Canadian and the US websites. And it has my favorites, ashwagandha, rhodiola, and eleuthero. But this one has ginseng in it. And that's why it's called Energy Extra. Because when you start putting rhodiola with a ginseng, we do run up against the possibility that we might feel a little bit more activated. So I would say that supplement is not going to be my first choice for people who have anxiety or get the heart palpitations and the restlessness, because it does have the tendency to maybe make room for some vulnerability in that territory. If someone likes the plants that are in it and they're like, yeah, I'm anxious, but I also have trouble with energy, we can try it. And I sometimes consider it, but I will do it at a suboptimal dose so that I see how my patients' bodies are like responding to what's in it. And as I mentioned on the live, I like to try all of the supplements that I ever give out to other people. I just like to make sure that I know what it feels like to take it. I want to know what any of the side effects might be. I want to know what the real lived experience is, because I don't want to ever experiment on someone else. And I feel like there is a level of trust that can be built when it's like, okay, I tried this. This was my experience. That might not be what your experience is, but we're going to play around with it. So I haven't taken it yet. I have prescribed it to some people who have given me that verbal, what's the word I'm looking for? My brain is just fried right now. They've told me, or they've reported, so they've given me a verbal report that was the experience they had. So we have dropped the dose, but then there are other people that can just take this and feel absolutely nothing. So I did pick it up so that I could have my own personal experience with it. So that is, I know it looks like a lot. This doesn't mean I take everything every single day, all the time, but it is, I would say, like, yeah, I probably take around like 15 capsules a day, so that I'm attacking these different areas. And there will be times where I'm taking it really consistently, and then maybe there's times where I'm taking a break. But I like to keep the baseline supplements there so that my mental health is always treated. And then I like to add new things in and pull other things out and see how symptoms change, and I'll do trial runs. So that is all of that right there is what I take in a day, just in the spirit of having these conversations about natural medicines this week, so that you can get a better idea of what it takes when it comes to creating a mental health protocol for yourself. And that's why all of this confusion here and all the science and all the understanding of how the body works now, it's processing stuff, is why I'm offering you guys the consultation of hopping on Zoom with me and us going through the plan and saying, okay, what do you want to achieve? Which supplements are going to be the best? Which isomers are going to be the best for the way that you particularly digest things? What's going to help us symptomatically treat what you're experiencing, right? So if you do want to have that one-to-one consultation, that is happening right now from February 6th all the way till the 10th. So today, from Monday all the way till Friday, my schedule is open at particular times if you want to book in a consult with me so that we can have a discussion on how to build a plan for you. Okay? Sound good? I'm going to leave the links for you to create a full script account when I post this video, and I will leave the link for you to book a consult with me if you want it. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out. I am happy to chat about this stuff, but I do hope that you give not only this a full listen, maybe even twice, but watch the live replay and really understand the concepts that we were talking about. Because it felt very valuable when we were talking about it. We can't put all of our eggs in the supplement and natural medicine basket and expect these massive changes and everything to be different in our lives just because we are now treating naturally what we would have treated medically before. Does that make sense? There's so much more work to do. all of these natural medicines are helping tone the nervous system so that it's prepared and ready to start going to the higher level regulation stuff, which is what we do in Peace of Mind method. Okay. I hope that this was informative. I hope that you enjoyed listening. If I confused you with all the words that I've used, welcome to the club, okay? This took years and years of knowledge to pack inside my brain, and every single person's different, and we have to have these conversations for each individualized patient. So digest what you can, ask questions where you can, and I will always be here as a resource for you. I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I'll see you soon.